Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. Welcome to the business lecture. I mean, that's it.
Thank you. Hi guys, it's Archibald Chesterfield the Third. AC3, and I gotta tell you guys, I'm over the moon, the man on the moon. My watch purchase, Rolex. It's an Air King of the airways, the ultimate pilot's watch. Look at that loom. Look at that loom. Loom. And I gotta tell you, man, I love my Rolex. It was a love and hate relationship. I had a love and a hate relationship. I originally hated the Air King, then I fell in love with it. And I actually even criticized a friend who had an Air King. I said, what'd you get that for? Can't see the point. Should have got an Explorer 1. And it's only when I've actually bought one myself, the penny has dropped. The penny has dropped, and I gotta be honest with you, this is the important thing. I now drink the Kool-Aid. I completely get it. And I've got to be frank, to the point. I couldn't have done it with my good friend Austin Daniels. That's correct, Austin Daniels. He's that wacky American who's living in Japan. He's a bit of a Rolex fiend himself. And he made a great video. I'm going to cut to his video. He's given me exclusive permission to use this video. He's given me permission. He said to me, hey Arch, can you just put a front piece on, giving me some credit for it? So I'd like to do that. He also made another video on the Air King where he compares it to another no date sports Rolex. So I'll put that in the link. I'll put a link. That's cards, using cards it's called. I gotta tell you, ever since I've got the Air King, I just absolutely adore it. Absolutely adore it. It's just, I don't know, I don't need to wear a suit or a business outfit. I can wear my unicorn, my purple unicorn shirt, put on my Air King, and it's just, life is fucking good. Life is very good. And I gotta tell you, I absolutely adore it. But it's a bit of a hit and miss. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's unique in the sense that it's got the, you've got the Rolex coronet in the gold color. And you've got the green writing. Rolex is in green. And also the second hand is in green. It's Rolex green. So it's really quite a, it's an unusual watch. It's a very simple watch. It's got an Explorer dial, 369. In fact, they even had an Air King, which was the Canadian Explorer 1. Yes, that was a reference number for a Rolex Explorer 1 that was in the Canadian market. And that reference number normally is an Air King. So they've had a very long relationship together. But without further ado, let's go and play the clip. This is Austin Daniels. Take a look, and at the end of this clip here, I got a bit of a footage of my Air King. So take a look, buckaroonies, and tell me what you think of that. I'm Paul Pluta. Tell me what you fuckers think of that.
welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, let's talk about the new Air King. Now, the new Air King is a very polarizing watch in that you either hate it or you love it, and I've done both. I've had 2 changes of heart in terms of that watch, and let's go through those because I think you can sort of glean some interesting truths of collecting and aesthetics, and maybe good and bad decisions. The first, my first reaction to that watch was I wasn't too keen on it. I didn't really like the busy dial, and I love 3, 6, 9 dials, but I wasn't a fan of the seconds. I wasn't a fan of the 20 and the 25, and it was busy, and it was like, you got all these numbers, and they're, you got minutes down here, and then you got the hours, and it's all mixed up, and that was a real, I thought aesthetically a really bad move, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all, and it grew in size. And when it comes to smooth bezeled watches or watches without a movable bezel, I think 36 is a good size. I think that's too small if you have a movable bezel, but if you have a movable bezel, 40 I think is the way to go. But if you don't have a movable bezel, then I think 36 is perfect. If you think about it, I've got a 40 millimeter watch right now, and if you take that bezel off of it, the actual glass part is probably about 36 millimeters.
It's a shitter.
And so I think 36 millimeters if it's a smooth bezel, and 40 if it's got the rotating bezel. But if you have a 40 millimeter watch and it has that smooth bezel, it looks a little ungainly. The new Explorer 2 grew in size, and I just think the 36 millimeter is so much better. I think it's more, even though they corrected the hands, I just think it looks a lot better at 36 millimeters. And so I can't say that I'm a fan of this growth to 40 millimeters with the new Air King. But I changed my mind a bit for like a day. For a couple reasons. Okay, first of all, it's sort of an affordable Rolex, right? And so I started thinking, perhaps buying a new Rolex is an experience I should have. It took all of 10 seconds before I came to my senses, but I was thinking, going into the AD and having that experience, getting the papers and writing your name on the card, and just having that whole experience is just it's got to be nice. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say it's probably not a really cool experience, but considering the hit your watch is going to take in terms of value the second you walk out that store, I'm not really inclined to do that. Having a virginal piece is a good idea, or it's an idea that I like. But I really, I don't mind pre-owned watches, and I think the mysterious history is sort of interesting. But I was thinking, okay, if I were to say get rid of the Explorer 2, cash that out, I could possibly take that money and get an Air King, a new Air King. Have that experience. And aside from that, I was looking at that painted crown and the green, and I'm not a big fan of green, but it's kind of nice the way that logo pops, and being such a fan of Rolex, I don't think I could look at that watch without just appreciating the branding just in my face. And I thought that could be kind of nice, and it has that parachrome spring. It's going to be accurate. Accuracy on Rolexes these days, plus or minus 2 seconds, so that could be a good watch, I thought, for seriously like 5 seconds, right? And then I came to my senses and I thought, you know, the dial on the Explorer 2 is beautiful. It's got the 24-hour hand. It's got the date. And I thought, wow, that would be an absolute mistake. But, you know, I think we often do that. We hear about a watch and you imagine it. You maybe visit Chrono 24 and you see what they're going for. And if it's something you think you could manage, you start mulling it over in your mind. You know, I've done that with the Speedmaster Pro many times. And I'll make another video about why I haven't, you know, gone that route. But so I was sort of keen, and you know, I was watching Archie's video about that, and he brings up the 369 dial, and the fact that watch in a way gives a nod to the Explorer, and I could sort of see it all of a sudden. All of a sudden I didn't mind all those numbers. I mean, I think it still is a bit too busy, but I kind of got it in a way. Of course, I think if you really want to nod to the Explorer, you gotta just get an Explorer because you're talking about the same kind of money. So, you know, for a split second, I was just sort of thinking about the Air King, and I in a way liked it, and I in a way thought, could that be a nice you know, replacement to the Explorer 2? Not that I really want to get rid of it, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that would be an absolute disastrous mistake, and I'll tell you why. And this sort of is somewhat related to a video that Simon made, and Simon, I'm going to put a link to this video of Simon's in the description, but fantastic video, probably one of my favorite videos of his. And he talks about, you know, this sort of hourglass scheme, and about how these watches that we tend to gravitate towards around, you know, maybe the $5,000, $10,000 mark, are, you know, relatively boring and conservative. And you know, when you look at you know, a sub or a GMT or a Datejust, that certainly is true. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because you know, when you're talking $5,000, right? Getting a trendy watch is a bit of a dangerous proposition, because trends come and go, and the last thing you want is a really expensive watch that sort of is not so fashionable anymore, and that's why, you know, the sub is sort of it's like the Levi's of the watch world. It's like the blue jeans of the watch world. I mean, it's iconic. It's so iconic. It's been trendy and fashionable and cool for years, and it's going to be for years. And I think the new Air King, on the surface, is interesting, and it's kind of surprising what Rolex has done, but it doesn't fall into that sort of iconic category. I mean, if they had kept to the original Air King size and been a bit more conservative with the dial, I think it would have, but they've opted to, I think, get a little trendy with it, which I think if you see it and you fall for it, that might be appealing and you might want to pick that watch up. But I think that same trendiness is going to, I think it's going to make that watch a questionable investment in the future. And I will bring up the North flag, the Tudor North flag, okay, which I think is similar in the sense that it's a bit out there, okay, the shape of it, and it's got those yellow accents. And I remember when that first came out, I kind of liked it. And I don't think it was particularly popular, and I thought that was another sort of selling point. but I thought, wow, the North flag is kind of cool. And if I had had a little less sense, I might have gone out and bought one, which I think would have been a huge mistake. Now, think about it. I mean, the North flag to me is so, I don't know when it came out, but it's so 2015. It's so last year. It's so, it's old news, and it's and the trendiness is all the more, well, it's trendiness actually, which was an appealing thing at the time, makes it awkward. And I wouldn't buy a North flag now for $1,000, right? And if I had one, I think I would have wished that I had gone more of an iconic route, and something like, okay, what's an iconic Tudor? Well, it's a Black Bay, a Pelagos. Those are cool now, and they're going to be cool in 10 years, okay? Because they're like, in the pattern of those subs, which again are like blue jeans. They're just always cool. They have achieved a level of coolness that transcends trendiness, and that's why I think the new Air King is a lot like the Tudor North flag. It's cool and it's trendy, and you can imagine having one on your wrist and having the newest fashion. But in 10 years, I think we might look at that watch and think, that's sort of a little bit of experimentation on Rolex's part, and I don't think it'll be a particularly good investment in the future. I really don't, because those are not iconic shapes. Yeah, I mean the Air King, I mean, it's conservative, but that's not an iconic dial. And the North flag is not an iconic shape, and the strangeness now, the trendiness that is appealing is a liability in the future. Okay, so stick to that. Looking at we're referring back to Simon Crane's hourglass shape. I think you really want to stick to those iconic shapes. Avoid trendiness. Don't fall for the trendiness. I think those will be lemons in the future. I say that, but nobody really knows. I think somebody might have said the same thing when the 1655 came out, the Explorer 2, and man, I mean, that was a lemon back in the day, when it was weird looking back in the day, and the fixed bezel, and now they're $15,000. So yeah, I don't think the North flag, and I don't think the new Air King will go that route. I think sort of the days of those unpopular watches that fetch a high price in the future, I think those might be at an end, because Rolex is just going to make so many of them, right? Even I don't know. But anyway, let me know what you think. The Air King, what do you guys think about it? Now I think back about, like, that idea to like get rid of my Explorer 2 for a new Air King. Oh, I mean, it really was like a 5-second sort of train of thought. I mean, ridiculousness. But yeah, I think they went a little too trendy with it, and I think it's gonna get some people, but it's a surprising move. It's not a tasteful move by Rolex, and I'm surprised. And I think Rolex, I think you see more and more bad decisions from Rolex, and I think that's one of them. And I think the 42mm Explorer 2 is another. Anyway, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. See you next time.